I tried before to make a video detailing every lie, inconsistency, and contradiction from Lio with my video, Lio Convoy Can't Stop Lying. But as you all know, Lio has continued to lie, meaning that video doesn't contain everything anymore. On top of the fact that the last portion of it goes on to talk about a call, and it could have easily been chopped down even further. So I'm going to try to make this kind of video one more time, using my previous videos to piece together another one-stop shop for Lio's lying and damage control to do with this situation, the shitstorm that I warned you about. One of my earliest interactions with Lio was at the end of 2022, in a Discord I made to discuss the Septi drama and how the Senate went about it. Hopeless Peaches was also there, and afterwards I asked Peaches about the FCK. She claimed that she didn't remember much and then immediately left the server. Early 2023 and Slammers gave me the Discord server of the FCK, where I learned that Peaches was more involved than she let on. I want to note that as early as March of 2023, Lio knew I was making a series talking about the FCK. On April 1st of 2023, I and Lio Convoy apparently called on Discord, and I say apparently because I'm kind of astonished myself by this. I was scrolling through my archives and just stumbled upon the recording of it. Me and Lio discussed quite a few things, though it was mainly me yapping about all of it. We talked about Nezzy Monster because at that time I was trying to get a phone call with Nezzy, talked about the FCK server, the fact that I had it, and some of the things that went on in the server. And I also talked about other FCK member Discord servers, such as Madlib, ZZ, and specifically Fuchsia Butter. Now, I'm not going to play the entire thing, it would add way too much link to this video, but I will provide two clips. One of me talking about Fuchsia Butter's Discord server, and one of me talking about the FCK server, because this goes to further prove that A, Lio knew about the FCK and vaguely some of the things within the server, some of the things that I told him about, before he even had the FCK logs, just a few months before. And B, Lio had an idea from me about what was in Fuchsia Butter's Discord server, or what used to be in there. Now, I'm not going to play the call in its entirety unless Lio chooses to lie about it, to which I'll upload the entire fucking thing. Now, that's why I'm making this series in particular, is to just clarify everything and be done. All in one go. And cover the group in its entirety. Like, for the full context. That's why I ended up getting into the server and whatnot. Which, again, I would really appreciate if you kept that private, because the second they know, they're probably going to delete it. But there's a lot of, like, fucky shit, and I'll gladly share all that with you if you'd like. There's a fuck ton of pornography sent, even shown to several individuals who were minors at the time, which no one said anything about. Which is interesting because Madlibs and Nezzy then later wanted to say that that was very wrong of Toasty, but said nothing when he was doing it. Multiple times, by the way.
I see.
And then they also have a track record, all of them, of having very degenerate servers. So there's Lucy, who had a server filled with like lolicon. There was minors and adults sending very inappropriate images of themselves in like lingerie and clothing, and like very revealing, skimpy clothing. There was, and this is all in like 2020, and it was not talked about. In fact, and I'll tell you why it wasn't talked about in a second. And then there was really inappropriate conversations in the chats where this was held. And they did have a specific role, not a role, they had a specific chat for it, but the chat was not, it didn't keep out the minors involved at all. And there's various stories and people's experiences from that server that also back this up. I still have some of the evidence. Obviously, I'm not going to keep fucking images of minors in bikinis, but I have some of the other stuff, and I have several people from that server that are willing to attest to the degeneracy of that server. And something was done about it only after Lucy, Fuchsia Butters, knew that it was going to be talked about publicly. And then also the main FCK server in and of itself had no problem sharing porn with minors in there, tagging minors and showing minors porn. At one point, they had like there was it's like a whole deep dive thing, but I'll be talking about it in a video of itself. But that's the
All
reason
right.
why I ask you not to tell them that I have the server, because the moment they know they're going to want to delete it. On April 13th, Lio and I discussed Peaches because I had asked about the drawing of her and Toasty Vanilla bathing one another a few days before, around the 6th of April. On April 26th, Lio let me know the call with Nezzy Monster had been agreed to, and the call was done on May 7th. That call can be summarized as any of Nezzy Monster's dishonesty, lies by omission, inconsistencies, or false accusations being shoehorned or pushed aside to talk about the mean and rude things that I said. The way the Senate handled this call made it clear it was a very biased environment, which at the time was surprising, but looking back, it shouldn't have been. The Senate server was initially a barbarian server. It was a bit edgy up until Lio adopted Hopeless Peaches and the two began collabing with one another, so the art audience from Hopeless Peaches began flocking to Lio Convoy. The call with Nezzy Monster was the second red flag. It was during and after the call that Lio told me he wanted to be invited to the FCK server because he had seen my meme about Miss Zizi spamming degenerate copy pastas about boy pussy in my comments back in 2020, just a few months after calling me a child. Because of the worry that they may delete logs, particularly Toasty Vanilla, if Lio was invited, the idea was to invite Lio on an alt account that didn't look like him. Something tells me that slipped Lio's mind because the alt that he wanted me to invite him on was literally named LioMan2. And to address a claim that I made previously about this alt, I was wrong. Lio did not delete this account. That is on me, and that was a misunderstanding. It was around this time, August of 2023, that a couple of people began warning me that Lio was likely taking this at an angle to protect his precious Peaches. At the same time, I got busy with work, my real family, and in my free time editing my series, which my audience knows was already behind. Now, before they go saying that I'm just bullshitting and whipping up a random fucking excuse, I do have some evidence for this. On August 3rd, I mentioned my suspicion and finding it odd that Lio suddenly took interest in this in my DMs with Slammers. This is on her alt account, so I will be censoring it. Conversations that I had with numerous people advising me and telling me not to trust Lio were all in phone calls, and I don't record every phone call that I have. With that said, me and Kumo around this time had disagreements because I wanted to trust Lio. That doesn't mean that I didn't take his words into consideration, just that I didn't want to take them into consideration because I wanted to trust Lio. And for a little bit, I was doubtful and suspicious about this. For about the next 2 months, I pushed those silly ideas of Lio being a snake aside and decided in October that I would invite him, even offering to do so, but he was ghosting me. Then I was randomly removed from Senate, and he later unadded me. As my series began releasing, there seemingly was no issue. That was until February, when I announced an additional episode on the FCK server. On February 6th, whilst I was editing my video on the FCK server, I got burnt out and decided to scroll through Madlib's Discord server, coming across someone named Zaranthropy, who was congratulating and discussing Madlib's video from September of 2020. So I added them and we talked. The conversation making its way to my recent series on the FCK and eventually the FCK server. I shared some information and screenshots from it, including about Hopeless Peaches' involvement. One of their messages being, I'm working on getting in contact with Peaches and someone who can hold her accountable with what you sent me. I'm telling you this for two reasons. One, it'll be important for later in this video. And two, this conversation went on to inadvertently prove my suspicions about Lio. 2 or 3 days before my premiere on the FCK server, shit hits the fan. Adlibs put out a statement, and in it mentioned Doodle Tones in the Kirby roleplay. Doodles did not like that one bit, and made a video about it, to which I will also be discussing. Another piece of information that I'd like to share with you. Keep in mind that my premiere on the FCK server was set up February 22nd of 2024. On February 23rd, Just a Robot shared my TISM report with Lio Convoy in the DMs. Lio's response is, Akumu is a scumbag, and I'm gonna snap him in half the moment I get. Later on stating that I hang around pedo and zoo defenders. Lio in the Senate want to talk about intentions, and yet why is the big bad lion man so angry already? And showing that he intends to use guilty by association ahead of time. Well, fret not, because you'll get your answer in a little bit. On February 25th, a day before my premiere, I want to make it known that these are not the only events that are important to take place on the 25th of February. More information about that day will be brought up later, so keep this in mind. And the reason I'm not getting into it now is because we didn't know about these events until March 13th, and I want to keep this video as linear as possible. Hopeless Peaches puts out a Twitter thread to take accountability, leaving quite a few things that happened in the FCK server out of the thread. like the fact that she made a joke about how the porn being sent in could result in exposing them, or that she entered a voice call with Toasty Vanilla jerking off, and that she later made a drawing of her and Toasty Vanilla bathing one another, and that she returned to the FCK server later when Toasty Vanilla invited her again. It was this same day that Lio admitted in the DMs of someone named Laka that he had the FCK chat logs for months, and told them that I was withholding them from everyone. In fact, he messaged Laka because his spy informed him of Laka joining the FCK server. Lio himself was not in it. Having these chat logs and a spy in the server, and the spy in the server no doubt would have told him that I invited 2 other people in the server to help collect evidence, and yet he's claiming I'm withholding it from everyone. Since Lio's had these logs for months, by his own fucking admission, a few questions come to mind. He's accusing me of withholding them from the public, presumably, yet he's had the logs for months and never released them himself. By his own fucking logic, he's done the exact same thing. And if Peaches was truly interested in that taking accountability bullshit, why did she wait until a day before my premiere? Am I to believe that Lio never mentioned and discussed the FCK chat logs with his favorite adopted daughter, Peaches? Oh wait, no, his only adopted daughter now. The whole time he had these logs? And if that's true, why didn't he? Since he cares so much about accountability. Any excuse he could offer only prompts a new question. It was the same day of my premiere, the 26th of February, and a video on some random fucking issue that Doodletones had with someone else, that Lio, of course, quickly rushed a segment at the end to discuss me and the FCK shit. In it, he first claims I'm the false accusation supreme.
They're not the only freak in this server, though. This server is owned by someone named In-Law, a person that initially came on the scene because they got upsetty spaghetti that Peaches called out the gross actions of Nyx and Jackie in the Glitchtail chats. Truly, the best of priorities. Her server has such hits as Carve My Name Into Your Thigh, Girl, and Fox Mafia associate Kumo, zoo porn enthusiast Gilded Poo, former Fox Mafia member North, and hanging out in Kumo's server with In-Law is the latest false accusation supreme himself, Akumu.
Then says he draws the line at lying.
We'll get into him later. You know who else is in In-Law's server? Conundrum. Nice company he keeps. What, did you think we wouldn't know? One of the longtime members of that server came to us the moment these freaks started joining to tell us what's going on. These people care so little about victims of predation that they'll release a call some fool gave them that he had no permission to do, completely disregarding the victim's wishes. Because they care so very much about what's right. Now, let me address the Akumu comment. I'm not going to deny that Akumu was done wrong in the past by ArtCC people. If he wants to address that, he can. Specifically some comments made to him by Miss Zizi. However, I draw the line at lying.
And then says that there's a reason I won't release the logs until after my video drops. Because it gives me the control of the narrative.
There's a reason he's not going to release the FCK logs until after the video drops. It gives him control of the narrative.
Oh, how fucking ironic. What narrative is that, Lio? The timing of when the FCK chat logs are released won't magically change the information in the server that anyone and everyone can see with their own fucking eyes. He has the chat logs himself. He could compare the chat logs to the screenshots in my video to see if I doctored or altered anything, but I didn't. The only altered screenshots that are in my video are the ones that have porn because I have to blur that for YouTube. Trying to control the narrative would be never releasing it. Trying to control the narrative would be withholding the logs until you absolutely have to discuss it like you and Peaches did. Trying to control the narrative would be rushing a sloppily made last segment where you project your own faults onto someone else so that none of your audience sees you for the liar that you are. But let's keep going.
We, however, had a longtime server member give us access to the logs that Akumu will not release. Logs I asked him for months ago, by the way, that he refused to give. Not only to me, but to other adults who asked.
As I previously established with the DMs with Laka, he's seen that Laka was invited to the server and questioned Laka as to why he was there, wanting to know what he was curious in, which is in and of itself a little suspicious considering it's a day before my premiere. But this means that the spy informed him that Laka joined. Not only that, but he's admitting to having the exports of the chats, meaning that he could see that I invited 2 other people into the server who are adults to help me gather evidence. Yet I haven't invited anyone, and I've been withholding it from everyone. This makes lie number 2.
Now, I know some of my audience are minors, which is why I'm not going to release the logs here because there's porn in there.
Lio, that doesn't explain why you've admitted to having these logs, the FCK server logs, for months now, yet you've done nothing with them up until my video. You stating that you have minors that watch your channel as if you can't blur the porn or censor it. You have a server that's 18 and up only, the Senate. You didn't talk about having these logs or share these logs in that server when you got them. You and Peaches only started sharing anything from those logs once my premiere came around the corner. How convenient. So this doesn't explain that, Captain Accountability.
He's going to try to use cherry-picked examples to try to frame it as Peaches being okay with degeneracy being shown to kids.
I'm going to break this claim down because Lio and the Senate keep misrepresenting it to claim that it's a false accusation or misrepresentation. Peaches knew that Slammers was 15 in September of 2019. Here's a clip of that.
Hello everyone, this is Hopeless Peaches, and today I have quite a serious video. I will not be hiding any names in this, mostly because they've already been spread about the internet enough, and everyone will be just saying it in the comment section anyway, so I might as well just skip over that. Instead, because I will be saying names in this video, I 100% encourage you not to go harass anyone. If you have any grievances with my video, go ahead and tell me. However, if you have any grievances with what anyone of any party do in this video that I'm talking about, don't go and tell them, please. Let's be respectful and go through this in a respectable, calm manner where we act the better person. So what did happen and what am I talking about? Well, a YouTuber by the name of Madam has recently been accused of stealing art from a 15-year-old artist called Slammers.
Now, Peaches was in the server and was aware of the porn. She acknowledges the porn when she said so much porn after they spam tagged her with the porn. She was also aware of at least one minor, that being Slammers, who was in the server. She fucking screenshotted. She posts a screenshot of the Gamerzone chat inside the Gamerzone chat that has Slammers in the screenshot because she scrolled back through. This was when she was talking about how she walked in on a VC when Toasty Vanilla was jerking off, and she took a screenshot of Toasty telling Slammers that. So Lio, you want us to believe that Peaches didn't know that there was at least one minor in this server that she knew they shared porn in. A server which she returned to, by the way. Oh, you are not going to believe this. I have a treat for you guys. And by a treat, I mean something that Lio is not going to like one bit. You guys are going to get a kick out of it. So I reached out to Slammers, who's on a new account because she's moved on from her old alias. And I requested that we have this conversation on her old account so that the Senate and the art community and Lio can't say that I'm just talking to somebody else and saying that it's Slammers. So here's the conversation we just had on her account confirming that this is Slammers. She said, okay, I'm here. Did Peaches know you were in the FCK server? Did either of you interact? She says, yes, we 100% have. We especially interacted in calls on the server too, and she would occasionally hop in. We have literally talked back and forth through there, and at some point she literally trusted me to be on her personal friend server when the whole Kai and Omnia drama was happening. She then sends a screenshot, a different version of the one that I previously showed you all, where Peaches is screenshotting her and Toasty's conversation about the whole jerking off in VC situation. She says, like, come on. My name was literally everywhere in that server. There was no way she didn't know I was on there. This literally has to be damage control. I said, thank you. I appreciate it. She said, no problem. If you have any more questions, just let me know. And I said, will do. So to Lio and the Senate, what's the excuse? Are you going to say that Slammers is no longer credible because she dared to have a conversation with me? I think that's going to be your cope for this, considering that's been your cope for everything else. The screenshots aren't credible because they came from me. Fruitcake Leaks isn't credible because they know me. It's nothing but copium.
So here's the most troublesome stuff that happened in there concerning Peaches. Here we have Peaches making a joke about the KKK. This is not a joke specifically making fun of a race, just a throwaway joke about the group itself. Literally just milquetoast dark humor. It's also of note that this was 4 years ago. All of this was.
This being 4 years old doesn't mean shit because this server has not been talked about. Peaches did not talk about it until the day before my premiere, and almost none of the other FCK members came out to speak about this server. It wasn't until I got a hold of the logs, and then I started pressing them, like Nezzy Monster, that any of them began really talking about the server. The only one that was really willing to talk about it was Madlibs when I reached out to her months ago, which the Senate, particularly the soft mink, wants to claim that I'm giving Madlibs a pass. I'm not giving Madlibs a pass. I'm simply crediting her for being willing to speak about it when all the other people refused to. The point I'm making here is, the Art CC and subsequently the Senate, because it's become an Art CC hug box, have this inconsistent standard on when something can and can't be talked about. When their favorite people talk about old shit, it's okay, it's perfectly fine, it doesn't matter how old it is, this needs talked about. They have no problem wielding old shit against people. But the second other people talk about old shit, just to have a conversation about it because it's never been fucking talked about before, suddenly its age matters and it shouldn't be talked about. How convenient is that, Lio?
Here we see Peaches responding to Fuchsia Butters and Miss ZZ spamming porn in the server, wherein Peaches made a joke about it. Now, there's some context here that needs to be highlighted. and that's the fact that Peaches was groomed for 7 years.
This has fuck all to do with the server, and you know that. Unless you have proof that Peach's groomer was in the server and keeping her quiet or something along those lines, it has nothing to do with it, and you know that, Lio.
Even at the time this all happened, they were still being manipulated by said groomer. So even if Peaches was 100% aware that there were kids in the server, which personally I doubt.
Well, a YouTuber by the name of Madam has recently been accused of stealing art from a 15-year-old artist called Slummers.
This is something Peaches had normalized by their groomer.
You would have somewhat of a valid argument if it wasn't for the fact that Peaches made a joke about how this could be used to expose the FCK. Clearly, she had some kind of idea about how fucking weird it was. Okay, let's run with this argument. At the time, she was desensitized and normalized by her groomer. Why is it in 2021, 2022, 2023? She could have said something about the server, but didn't. The second you got the logs, she could have said something about the server, because I fucking doubt that you didn't speak to her about it. That's a load of horse shit that I don't think anyone's going to buy. She could have said something, but she didn't. She only said something a day before my premiere. So that argument doesn't work either. So either way, even if she was normalized or desensitized at that time, this goes to show that she's a hypocrite that doesn't actually care about any of that accountability, moral standard bullshit, which is the entire point of my series. If you're Peaches, oh so cared about accountability and all these moral standards that she loves to whip out against everybody else, and you actually gave a fuck, why is it, as you admitted you've had these logs for months, her statement about this only came out a day before my premiere? Why not a few days after you got the logs so that you could get all the evidence for her little bullshit thread? Come on, Lio. Surely you can get that Mountain Dew rotted fucking brain thinking of an excuse.
Peaches didn't even know any of what that creep was doing was suspicious until Cosmodor got called out later that year. That being said, this isn't something they've repeated and have also disavowed. I think I've made it clear that I'm always going to keep nuance in mind when dealing with stuff like this. If it was Peaches sending porn to children, or speaking to them sexually like Nix and Jackie, we'd be having a different conversation. But that's not what happened.
You're right, Lio. Peaches didn't have sexual conversations with minors in the FCK server, and she didn't send any porn. You're completely right, and no one fucking claims she did, and you know that. Peaches knew about porn being sent in a server with minors, about porn being shown to minors, and she knew about sexual conversations being had around minors. For fuck's sake, she literally screenshotted Toasty telling Slummers that he was jerking off in VC. Peaches herself has gotten onto other people for not directly doing the behavior, but being complacent in it. That's the fucking hypocrisy, and you know that. No one is claiming that Peaches sent porn in there. No one is claiming that Peaches had sexual conversations with minors in there. That's not the main point. The point is the hypocrisy, and you know that. You're slimy, and you're greasy, and you're worming your way around the issue to say, well, she didn't send any porn, and she didn't have any sexual conversations with the minors in the chat, when no one is saying that she did. People are saying that she knew about it and didn't say anything. The same thing that she's gotten onto other people for.
And also of note that people like Akumu surrounds himself are constantly trying to deny that Peaches was groomed.
Surrounds himself, he says. You mean I was in a server that Gilded was later invited to, and that counts as surrounding myself? A Discord server is kind of like an internet town or an internet city. There are people that are in Discord servers that don't really associate with each other. I'm willing to bet there are people in the Senate that don't really know each other or associate with each other, but are still within the same fucking Discord server. You were in my Discord server, so it'd be like saying that you associated with all the people in my Discord server just because you were in it. That you surrounded yourself with them just because you were in it. It's fucking retarded, and you know it's retarded. You don't have anything. You're desperate. Oh my god, there's someone you don't like in a Discord server I'm also in? Well, boo fucking who. You're almost 40 years old, and you're using playground arguments of guilty by association. Keep in mind, this is the same guy whose audience likes to say that he's mature. But you know what? I'll entertain your childlike tantrum of pseudo-virtue. You have multiple people in your server that I don't like. You have Nezimonster, a habitual liar. You have Ellie Momelli. All three are FCK members. Doodletones and Nezimonster knew about the degeneracy in the server and didn't say anything about it. They admitted this in the call that you were there for. So you associate with them. So because you associate with them, does that mean that you condone all the shit that they get up to? No, that's right, because it's a stupid fucking argument and you know that. But Lio is doing what Lio has always done. To make the person he's trying to dog on look bad, he plays guilty by association. Usually saying that someone's a pedo defender or pedo apologist, zoo apologist, or zoo defender, simply because they had a conversation with someone he doesn't fucking like. As you can see, he's gotten so fucking desperate that he's trying to rope me in with Gilded because I'm in a server that Gilded is also in. And he's done this all over. You can watch various calls from the Senate or his various videos talking about people. He constantly does it. In fact, one of the earliest times he sort of did it in regards to me was mentioning that I had Cass Warfox people apparently in my Discord server. A, who are you talking about? And B, why the fuck is that my problem? Boo-hoo, nigga, there's people in my server you don't like. Any server that you join, do you run immediately to the staff team and say, I don't like this person, ban them? And you're supposed to be the mature adult here. Okay.
Not only is this gross and reprehensible, but it's also just an outright lie. I've seen the logs. Here are some now. Here's one where her groomer talks about how not a pedo he is and how he has to word himself in a certain way because Big Brother is watching, along with noting the clear age gap. I'm not going to show the rest. I don't need to. I think I've made my point. What I find interesting, though, is no one looked into fuchsia butters until all of this came out.
What Lio is doing here is shifting the topic to other people, and he does this constantly anytime anyone brings up any issue on his end, or someone that he actually fucking associates with, not just roping him in with someone else. He quickly shifts the topic to what other people have done. It's really fucking funny to watch. That's a fucking lie. I made 3 different videos in 2020 talking about fuchsia butter, and the same shit he's about to talk about. At the end of 2023, I released an episode in my FCK series on fuchsia butter.
The third party to scan through these logs literally just hopped into her server and find all sorts of garbage in under 5 minutes, which is a problem since there's minors in that server and no regulation about what's posted around them by Fuchsia herself. This is because Akumu is more interested in smearing someone than properly dealing with actual guilty parties.
I'm not concerned with guilty parties, but I was the first one to talk about Fuchsia's degenerate shit, and I was told by the art commentary audience, the same people that started watching you now, by the way, that I was a fucking liar, that I was stalking and harassing. And even made an episode recently in my series discussing the entire thing that went down with fuchsia butter. But yes, I'm not concerned with guilty parties at all. Totally. Because I didn't already talk about fuchsia butter.
Toasty Vanilla was the person in charge of that server and gave no rules or safeguards to protect children in that server. I'd love to see accountability directed towards him, please.
Please don't talk about my precious peaches. Talk about this other person. When people can talk about both. The hand that both of them had in this whole fucking server. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want that. You just want everyone to talk about Toasty or Fuchsia instead of your precious little peaches. People are talking about Toasty. I talked about Toasty before all of this, before my series in 2020, and what Toasty was getting up to. Peaches knew what Toasty was getting up to, and she didn't fucking say anything. Another thing, you love to talk about how people who are older should know better. You constantly whip out age against people when you're in calls and grandstanding people, asking them their age and saying that they should know better since they're older. You and Peaches both have done this. And yet Peaches, who was older than Toasty Vanilla, Desi Monster, who was older than Toasty Vanilla, Mad Libs, they're all older than him and should have known better. And yet, suddenly we shouldn't talk about them. We should only talk about Toasty now. Come on.
And Fuchsia? You and I are going to need to have a conversation. You'll know where to find me.
Just watch. He's going to do a call or a video or even both and put them together about fuchsia butter and upload it, and his retarded fucking art community audience are then going to talk about the degenerate shit that fuchsia butter got up to. Not when I did it, of course, because then it was stalking and harassment, but when Lio Convoy does it, it's suddenly different. Those standards go out the fucking window. And they're going to talk about how intimidating Lio was and how he really shut her down. Here's one from his most recent video. How if Lio was there, he would have done a Mortal Kombat move. Yeah, telling you right now, he's not doing any Mortal Kombat moves anytime soon.
But a single example may not be enough to convince people of Akumu's smearing attempts being an obvious ploy.
Let's read the definition of smear, just so that we can get an understanding as to what Lio's trying to say. Damage the reputation of someone by false accusations. Slander. Alright. Now let's see the slander, the false accusations that I'm apparently using.
So here's another one. Akumu has been regularly spreading an RP Susie did when they were a couple of months past 18. An RP Susie herself did not make sexual, but the other party did.
This is the same cope that Doodles did in the video. The other person made it sexual, I didn't. And yet Susie was perfectly fine with it being sexual. After Kirby made it sexual, Doodletones continued on with this roleplay. It lasted a month. Susie even came back on an alt account to continue the roleplay.
In doing her research to properly address this yet again, Susie delved into her old logs and found out she had been groomed. I was there. I saw how she responded to it in real time. It's an awful thing to discover, but it explains some of her more troublesome thought processes and interests for several years. Akumu's response to that level of honesty is to claim she's using her being groomed as a shield and that she's just trying to paint anyone that questions her as a victim blamer. If you sat through that whole video and came to that conclusion, you're just a dishonest moron.
I'm the dishonest moron, but your track record so far throughout this video isn't looking so good, Lio. But first, you said I was smearing, and then you admit that the roleplay is real, so you don't deny that the roleplay is real. So what exactly is the false accusation here? For it to be smearing, I have to be using a false accusation to try to damage or affect Doodle's reputation. So where is the false accusation? Unlike you all, I actually pay attention to what you say. If you go and watch Doodletones' video, they admit to doing diaper shitting artwork and age regression in 2013. Then they proceed to admit later that they didn't meet their groomer Alex until November 22nd of 2014.
The same year that I got super into erotic roleplay, I met this person called White Clouds 1988, also known as Alex. We used to chat a lot with each other, and when I say chat a lot, I mean we chatted a lot. We met November 22nd, 2014, so remember I was still 17 at this time.
The degeneracy came before the grooming, on top of the fact that the roleplay was with Kirby, not with Alex, who is Doodletones' groomer.
Now, there are things that will probably need to be addressed as well at a later date. For now, though, I have other things I need to do. I'm not obligated to defend myself at the behest of others. I will do so when I please. And as such, I've got work to do.
While I will be still using my previous clips discussing the call that the Senate had on February 28th, I'll be condensing that down even further. So if you'd like to see my original take on that call, that'll still be in my Lio Convoy video. That'll be linked down below. If you'd like to see the full February 28th call without my interjections yapping about it, you can go see that as well, as that too will be linked down below. I'm going to show you everything that you need to see before we move on to the events past February 28th.
Fucking wait. They aren't Toasty or ZZ. Harassment is not tolerant. So harassment is fine with those people?
Anyone can go to the Fruitcake Leaks Twitter and check to see what their tweets are saying. Not once do they condone harassment to anyone. The person here who's talking, the inframentator, or George, is taking one tweet where they say, don't harass these people because they don't want them harassed, and then saying, oh, well then are you saying it's okay to harass the others? It reminds me of that so you're saying argument from that Jordan Peterson debate.
Oh, I don't know. But then about an hour ago, they said, alright, I cleared my head. Apologies for last night. I do not wish for harassment of anyone. Only accountability and statements. The only two who I want truly gone is who I have stated many times before. Nevertheless, I hope Nezzy Monster is alright.
And who do they want gone?
Toasty and ZZ.
Well, because Toasty was on the cleared list earlier.
Lio is claiming that Toasty Vanilla's name was previously on the cleared list, and while it is true Fruitcake Leaks has changed the cleared list here and there a little bit, not one fucking time has Toasty Vanilla's name been on the cleared list. I keep up with the account, and the person who's behind that account shares their tweets with me. I keep up with it just in case I have some kind of disagreement, and so that I can keep up with what they're saying, so that if people try to misrepresent what they're saying as what I'm saying, I can say, no, this is what Fruitcake Leaks is saying. Point is, I keep up with everything that account posts. On top of the fact that me and Fruitcake Leaks, before that account was even made, had established that Toasty Vanilla was very much in the wrong here. There is no fucking way Toasty Vanilla's name went on that list. In fact, I messaged Fruitcake Leaks just in case there was a tweet that I didn't see that had Toasty Vanilla's name on the cleared list to see if they ever put his name on the cleared list. And this is what they had to say. Did you ever put Toasty on the cleared list? No, I never did. If someone said that, that is a complete lie. Also, it's the innocent parties list, not cleared parties list. So yet again, Lio Convoy is lying, and lying to people in Senate, in a fucking call. The same guy who draws the line at lying doesn't like being lied to in calls. How fucking ironic.
Oh, apparently most of the stream was just going over the logs and asking him to make a statement about them, but 90% of it was I don't know and whatever nonsense he wanted to spew out.
Why do these people want a public statement? Why do they feel they're entitled to that? That's what pisses me off here. I saw Akumu say, oh, Peaches didn't take accountability because she didn't write a Twitter thread until the day before my video dropped. Mm-hmm. Well, no, let's ignore the fact that that's not actually true. Why is that your definition of accountability? A fucking Twitter thread.
For starters, what the fuck do you mean that's not even true? Hopeless Peach has released her Twitter thread talking about the FCK, February 25th. My premiere was the next fucking day. You're denying a literal fact. Secondly, I'm not saying a Twitter thread is taking accountability. The entire point of my series, the reason I've been making it, the reason I've been building up to this, is to show people that the shit that Lio, Hopeless Peaches, the rest of the art commentary community, even the SEC sometimes do, talking about how people need to be held accountable, that they need to come together to hold these people accountable, or that they need to take accountability, is a load of fucking horseshit. And this can easily be shown with Lio and Peaches, because Lio, like a fucking idiot, admitted that he had the FCK chat logs for months now. So if he's had these logs for months, and Peaches claims to care about taking accountability, explain to me this, George. Why she released her thread addressing the FCK shit a day before my premiere? And while George can't answer this, Lio himself will inadvertently answer this question later on. So don't worry, because we get our answer regardless. Why is that? Surely you can get that monkey brain going and whip out some kind of excuse.
You don't want anything. You want the superficial appearance. You want smoke and mirrors by your own definition, or not by your own definition, by your own admission.
What the fuck are you talking about? By my own admission, where did I even remotely say anything close to that? Do you have a fucking hearing problem? Do you need a hearing aid? What I've said is that these people are bullshitters. They bullshit everybody into thinking that they actually believe in accountability. Their moral standards are not consistent.
Because guys like Kumo and Kumo, God, their fucking names are so familiar, are so totally online that they think coming out publicly on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever fucking social media means you're repenting, when it's not.
We're so terminally online while you're joining in a call where you all gaslight each other into believing a bunch of ridiculous shit. I don't think someone making a post online is repenting. My whole entire point is that all of this shit is a facade from people like Hopeless Peaches and the art commentary community. My point has completely gone over your head, but you know what? Let me go ask Kumo himself. Let me see what his take on this is.
Oh, hello, sir.
Okay. Just want to go over something real quick. All right. So do you think that if someone comes out about something online, like on social media, all right, about something, do you think that they're repenting? That like they're truly repenting?
I wouldn't call that repenting, no.
Okay, so you disagree then?
Yeah, I would disagree.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted a clarification real quick for something.
Okay. Why? What's up?
Oh, just you'll see.
Uh-oh, we got another notification. Oh, it's just a delayed super chat thing, right? Yeah. Thank you for the 5, Enla.
Based Emma. All right, well, we'll talk to you later.
Oh wow, but that's it? You're just gonna blue ball me here?
Well, I mean, I gotta work on this.
I think Vash Lancet sent me a friend request. I'm assuming this is Vash.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who has the Alucard profile picture. Okay. Well, thank you for popping in, Akumu. Thank you for the surprise guest appearance, boss.
Yeah. Talk to you later, bro.
All right. Yep, you have a good one.
Also, I want to really entertain that argument here that just because someone makes a post on social media doesn't mean they're repenting. You know what? I'm in agreement. In fact, your opinion seems to be closer to ours, bud, which means that the post that Peaches made on Twitter doesn't mean that she's repenting. Interesting how that works.
Well, it's not just that. I can tell you the long-term strategy here about the Fruitcake Club stuff. Here's the thing. Having people looking through the logs, which again takes time, because up until now it was kind of just me and sometimes Asuka doing it. Toasty made the server. 2 of the initial rooms that were made are called Toasty's Tits and Piss Throne, or something along those lines. Everything about that server, in no way, shape, or form, communicated that there were going to be minors in there. To my knowledge, and Mimi is here, they can correct me if I'm wrong, Toasty's the one that sent out all the invites. There was no age gating. To my knowledge, there were no roles that were given to minors. There was no proper separation there. And anytime I've seen pornography posted so far, in the logs I've looked through, because it was primarily in the gamer zone, it's something that Toasty started.
That doesn't change the fact that these people knew about it. Madlibs knew about it, Nezzy Monster knew about it, Doodletones knew about it, Fuchsia Butter knew about it. Multiple people, including Hopeless Peaches, knew about it. That's what seems to be the consensus issue, is that these people knew and didn't say anything. And yet if anyone else had done this, had participated in this or knew about it and didn't say anything, me and you both know, especially you and Peaches, would be dogging on them, and you wouldn't allow any fucking excuse to be used. Yet here you are constantly making excuses or trying to distract away from the fact that all these people knew by pointing at Toasty only. Yes, he was a massive main contributor, but those people knew, and a lot of people take issue with the fact that they knew and didn't say anything for years. If Peaches and her friends weren't involved and this was some other fucking group that you had the opportunity to grandstand for your videos, you wouldn't be trying to make these excuses and pour defenses for them.
And from what Fuchsia Butters had told me in the call I had with her yesterday, Toasty constantly harassed people to be sexual, including children, trying to get them to draw not safe for work art for him. I think the only reason why the account is now focusing anything towards Toasty is because of Teddy's thread. And because of what I said in the video the other day. I do not see this room as a room that had so much mixture between children and adults that it was extremely obvious. I do not think that anybody, well, I'm not going to say shouldn't be held accountable. Obviously, people are accountable for their actions.
See? I told you, these people throw the word accountability around loosely, inconsistently. Many of the people knew in that server that Slimmers was a minor, and they knew that she was in there. Nezzy Monster, Hopeless Peaches, Madlibs, they all knew that at least Slimmers was a minor. At the very least, Slimmers was a minor. They were interacting with her on a daily basis. Quit trying to distract from this and only push all the blame onto fucking Toasty. They knew about it, and if anyone else knew about something like this, you would be grandstanding them, but because your precious little Peaches was doing it, and she knew about it, you're dying on this fucking hill.
Probably should have checked around, but if you're in a space where you think it's primarily adults, you're going to act like an adult. And because my generation is so separated from most people's generations of online and activity, I'm going to by nature have a better filter than people who spent their entire lives online. That's why the most you guys will get out of me in terms of quote-unquote lootery is talking about how attractive I find my wife and Catwoman. Whereas these people who are raised online, that's all they really do. So they don't think, especially in the twilight of their adulthood, they don't think to separate that properly. Now, if I had evidence that Peaches or anybody else were sending children pornography, like directly or trying to groom them, yeah, there'd be fire and brimstone coming down on anybody who did it, but I don't have evidence of that.
This is the same thing that he did in the video. He distracted from what people's actual issue is with this, well, I don't have any evidence of Peaches sending porn to kids or having sexual conversations with kids. No one is saying Peaches did that. The point being made is there were sexual conversations with minors around. These people knew that minors were around. You can keep trying to distract from that fact, but Slimmers was in there. They knew Slimmers' age. They acknowledged her age multiple times in the server. They acknowledged her age before the server even fucking existed in September of 2019. You and Peaches have gone on to grandstand other people for knowing about shit like this happening with a group chat of minors, with porn being sent in there, with sexual conversations being sent in there. And yet here you are trying to get a workaround with that and say, well, Peaches didn't send porn in there. No one's making that claim.
What I have evidence of is Akumu, Kumo, and the rest of these clowns trying their best to disrupt support systems.
Disrupt support systems? What the fuck does that even mean? You're just barfing out nonsense.
And go after people they've had long-standing grudges with.
I've said this multiple fucking times. The FCK series is to document what the FCK were getting up to, what they did to me, and what they did to other people. That way people can see the art commentary community for what it is. A LARPy, sanctimonious, inconsistent, hypocritical mess.
Because again, I have to point out, Akumu refused to give me the logs. I had to find a roundabout way to get a hold of them. Akumu has had these logs for the better part of a year.
There are a multitude of reasons which you know about, which you're leaving out. So I'm going to list the ones that you know about. The idea was to invite you on an alt account that wasn't obviously you. The account you wanted me to invite you on was obviously you. Secondly, I got busy with life, with work, with taking care of animals, which I told you about, with my real family, with in my free time editing my series because I was already going to talk about all of this shit. You seem to think that I was just passing everything off for you to do when that wasn't the case. The idea was you could also talk about it. I was also getting suspicious of you considering the way things were going. Big fucking surprise, look at this now, you're lying about the situation, so my suspicions ended up being correct. But I did try to invite you October of 2023 when you were ghosting me, which you comment on later in this call.
Can
This
I
is a
just
concerted
say-
effort. Go ahead,
Okay,
Efron.
Well, I just have to say, it appears to be an absolutely amazing coincidence that all of the bad people in this situation are all people Akumu didn't already like.
Well, how about you mention why I don't like them, Ephraim? I don't know, getting together in a group, dogpiling me, falsely accusing me of trying to dox, accusing me of deleting tweets I never deleted to make it look like I was malicious, photoshopping evidence against me, constantly making videos about me, spying on me, but if I spied on them, it was harassment, making fun of me, but if I made fun of them, it was harassment. This list can keep going. Why don't you mention any of that? You're going to notice a common thing with people like this, from the ArtCC and the SCC. They like to talk about how I dislike these people and how I talk about these people, but they never ever mention why. And because the Senate or anyone that associates with it or that wants to defend Lio, typically art commentary audience, they can't say that I'm wrong. So lately they've been resorting to, well, he didn't like the people in the FCK, so clearly he's got bad intentions. They're so desperate, they're reaching to intentions to distract from this whole thing. And it's really fucking ironic because, just like Ephraim said, it's a coincidence that everyone there is people he didn't already like. Why didn't you say this when Peaches made the video on Camila Cuevas? She didn't like Camila Cuevas before she made that video. Yet no one said stop. Maybe we shouldn't consider the evidence because Peaches may have bad intentions because she didn't like Camila Cuevas. No one said that. Not a single fucking person said that. Yet when it comes to me talking about the FCK, all of them clutch to that. Funny how that works.
Isn't that kind of amazing?
Yeah, it's also amazing that part of their effort is trying to, well, undercut my credibility and try to throw stones at me because they know I'm going to back up people that I care about.
No, Lio. There was no attempt to undercut your credibility. You undercut your own credibility by getting involved and proceeding to lie about the situation in an effort to protect Peaches. And when you aren't lying to protect Peaches, anytime anyone brings Peaches up, you circumvent or move the conversation to somebody else and what somebody else was doing. When we can talk about all of them. The reason people are questioning your credibility is because of your own fucking actions in this situation. I guess you could blame me because I'm showing them that you're lying, but I'm not gonna not show that you're lying about the situation. And you've lied about other shit too, completely aside from this situation that you didn't even need to lie about. But that's for another video.
So yeah, I 100% think that's intentional. I think it's a bit of serendipity with Jordan going to Kumo to help plan this out, but I do not think that this is some super coincidence that this all is coming out at literally the same time. I don't.
Oh, you want to talk about coincidences, Lio? Sure. Let's have a conversation about coincidences. I don't think it's a coincidence that Peaches put her thread out a day before my premiere. I also don't think it's a coincidence that your Conundrum video was premiered a few hours before my premiere. But don't worry, guys, because we do get an answer to that later. I am not remotely involved with anything to do with Jordan and Kumo. I literally decided at random that I was going to just go ahead and do the FCK server video. And then you all started fucking panicking about the situation and rushed to do damage control. He knew that I was making it once I said, hey, I'm probably just going to go ahead and work on the FCK server video. People do want it. People are saying that I'm sort of teasing them with only showing them bits and pieces of the server. I didn't tell him when I was uploading it or anything. I literally decided at random to drop all the shit. I announced that I was postponing Ponder Part 2 and the Mad Libs episode so I could get this episode out. There's no big scheme here. The only one plotting anything is your ass, considering you had the fucking logs for months and only waited until a day before my premiere to have Peaches do her taking accountability thread, and then rushed a fucking segment in your most recent video to talk about it. Or is it just a coincidence that you had your premiere a few hours before mine where you claimed that I was going to lie and misrepresent it when I fucking didn't? So please, Lio, project your own fucking intentions onto somebody else to fool your audience even more. This shit is easy to show.
Got a question? Let me see here. Sorry, it's not taking me to your question. Okay. Did people not know there were minors in FCK at first, or say for Toasty? It's kind of up in the air. Because I didn't even know that Mimi here was a minor while they were in that server until they talked about their age openly here. So the thing is, anybody who has cursory knowledge assumes everybody knows what they know.
Yeah, this is one of those cases where you have to keep in mind innocent until proven guilty.
Lio is either lying, or he didn't watch my video and he didn't check the fucking logs that he's had for months. There are several adults in there who shared porn, or knew of the porn being shared. that we're aware of at least one minor being in there, that being Slimmers. I showed in my video an entire compilation of these people mentioning Slimmers' age before the server even existed, a month before it existed. But you know what? How about I just go to the source again? So I went to Slimmers and I said, did Nezzy Monster, Mad Libs, or Miss ZZ know you were in the server? She said, absolutely, all of them knew. All three of those people mentioned that Slimmers was 15 in September of 2019. Nezzy Monster made 3 videos mentioning their ages. Nezzy Monster's first video on Madame that mentioned Slimmers' age was released in September of 2019.
I hope you all appreciate the shit I do, because I had to watch this twice and the first viewing actually gave me a headache. Howdy doody everyone, I'm back, and this time I come bearing a script! So if y'all haven't heard, a Leafy Was Here ripoff is in some hot water for basically tormenting a young 15-year-old artist by the name of Slimer's Cryotic. Be sure to go and give her some love, by the way, all links in the description.
That same month, Hopeless Peaches made a video mentioning Slimmers' age.
Hello everyone, this is Hopeless Peaches, and today I have quite a serious video. I will not be hiding any names in this, mostly because they've already been spread about the internet enough, and everyone will be just saying it in the comment section anyway, so I might as well just skip over that. Instead, because I will be saying names in this video, I 100% encourage you not to go harass anyone. If you have any grievances with my video, go ahead and tell me. However, if you have any grievances with what anyone of any party do in this video that I'm talking about, don't go and tell them, please. Let's be respectful and go through this in a respectable, calm manner where we act the better person. So what did happen and what am I talking about? Well, a YouTuber by the name of Madam has recently been accused of stealing art from a 15-year-old artist called Slimmers.
Nani made a video mentioning Slimmers' age.
Get it. I see where you're coming from, madam, when it comes to that. However, I don't think it's a reason to act the way you have been acting. Put yourself in Slimmer's shoes for a moment. You're a 15-year-old artist.
Mad Libs made a video mentioning her age.
For those of you who don't know what the Madam drama is, what happened is this piece of shit YouTuber who calls herself the female Leafy Is Here, not sure why you'd ever want to brand yourself like that, but she commissioned a 15-year-old artist.
ZZ made a video mentioning her age.
See, Madame is a YouTuber who was interested in commissioning an artist called Slimers. Slimers, due to their age, did not have a PayPal, therefore could not accept payment.
But you know what? I'm not done just yet, because I have another example from the fucking FCK server. March 12th of 2020, Gamerzone. They played Scriblio. Nezzy Monster sends the link and starts listing various characters, and then starts listing all the people who are going to play this game. She says Nezzy, Slimmers, Null, Trent, Mad Libs, Toasty Vanilla, Lucy, Miss ZZ, Junkie, Toontown. Are you really going to sit here and fucking deny and try and tread the line as to who knew and whatnot? Hopeless Peaches knew, Mad Libs knew, Nezzy Monster knew, Miss ZZ knew, Toasty fucking knew. Various people knew that Slimmers was in there and knew that she was 15. And yet you're bullshitting your fucking audience and lying to people in Senate.
You have to very much be willing to acknowledge that for a Fruitcake Club. And so far, the only person who I think we have reasonable belief is guilty is Toasty. Do you disagree with me on that, Lio? Why Lio yelled at them? One I remember seeing from, I think it was NLaw, was at one point Lio threatened to fight Jordan. Well, there was no context to that. Did Lio literally just go up to Jordan and say, you, me, out back in 5? Did Jordan bump into Lio while he was carrying his lunch tray like it's the movie 3 O'Clock High? Were they watching Rocky together and one of them started running their mouth? Hey, it happens. No, we don't know. They don't fucking actually tell stories. They don't say claims. It drives me fucking crazy.
I'm about to go to Akumu and be like, Lio threatened to fight me. Ignore the fact that I threatened to fight him like every fucking day since December.
By the way,
the other issue here is that it's being framed as child abuse, but literally every person was in their 20s. Jay being the oldest. And I've got my own things I could say about Jay. One of the reasons why I hadn't wanted to publicly address this is because of the sheer amount of damage it will do when I do, not to me, but to them. because Jay specifically makes a living off commissions. That's all Jay does. Jay does literally nothing else. So when I have to respond to this and point out that these people are pathologically lying, there goes Jay's entire livelihood.
I don't know who Jay is or much about this Jay, but it's a little ironic after several days now and after literally lying to people in the call, you want to talk about how someone else is a pathological liar. It's no wonder why the Art CC loves you so much. You do the delusional LARPy shit.
You guys have gotten her. Every time you guys have gotten her, and I'm not done. I am not done. And if that is Mushmouth over there speaking over me again, I might genuinely lose my temper. And nobody in this call yet has actually heard me lose my temper. I can promise. There's okay. Coyote has heard me lose my temper. So is Zaid. You don't want that. I promise you. If you think Zaid just being a little mean about Star Wars makes you have nightmares that he's a literal monster stealing your tongue, I will steal your essence.
You're inconsistent when it comes to accountability. Your standards suddenly change when it comes to the people you like. And you have no fucking self-awareness.
And I didn't want to do that, but now I'm going to have to. Jay, Jordan, they all knew who these people were. They did this intentionally.
Yeah,
Neither of them.
They lie in it now.
None of them were abused in that household. If accountability is. The only reason this being weaponized now is because Ami and Kai are insane. At some point, I will have to do a massive video where I take every single detractor and ground them into the dust. But that's not what this one's going to have to be. This one has to focus on the accusations being made towards Peaches and being made towards me. And I'm going to, of course, have to address the FCK stuff because, let's be honest, what's going on about that is horrifically wrong and is egregious, and I will not let people get away with doing that.
Would you count it as malicious intent as well?
Without question. Without question, it's malicious.
Just like I said, February 28th, they started this malicious intent horseshit. And it's a distraction, that's all it is. Because they can't actually respond to any of the claims being made and be specific in their response. Other than saying it's wrong or it's false, they can't be any more specific than that. Doodle Tones will go as far as even saying that I'm right about the FCK, but then bringing up my intent. It's a distraction. That's all they want to do is distract you, the audience, away from what's going on and away from the entirety of the FCK so they can frame it in a specific way that gives them leeway. That's all that this is. When they have no fucking problem completely crucifying people for doing the same exact shit. But we'll get into more about that later.
That's what Akumu is. He's malicious.
Since when was showing people the truth about the art commentary community and how those people are, and most recently how you are, malicious? You consider it malicious because, oh, now people are starting to see you for what you are, a fucking liar. You chose to go down this path. Don't go throwing a tantrum because now it's a bumpy road. But I have a piece of advice. If you want to make this easier, quit fucking lying. It's really not that hard.
Sorry about yesterday, Rabbi.
That happened in private, and you don't have to apologize for it.
I have a question. I keep hearing Kumo. Why don't I hear much of Mad Libs? Or
I don't know.
Because
Mad Libs did a
bland.
Mad Libs did a single post and nothing else apparently. So.
I see.
That and Mad Libs doesn't have anything to do with what's being discussed.
Despite the fact that she was also active in FCK, but we're giving her a pass because she made a thread that was mean to Doodle Tones.
This is the same retarded shit that Mink previously claimed, and no one is giving Mad Libs a pass. She is discussed in the episode. If I didn't discuss her in the episode, then sure, you could say I'm giving her a pass.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like these people don't fucking care about this or something.
You dare to acknowledge things that we don't want acknowledged, to talk about things that we don't want talked about. You don't care about this at all. Go fuck yourself.
They don't. The entire reason Akumu went to the FCK server is because he was under the impression that's where people were conspiring about him 4 years ago.
One, that's a false claim, and you know that. I knew a little bit about the degeneracy that went on the server through rumor, but every time I mentioned it or talked about it, I was told that I had no evidence, that I was a conspiracy theorist, that I was a liar. So that was not the only reason I went to the server. And you know this because I've spoken with you about this. We've had calls where I've spoken to you about the FCK. Secondly, what do you mean I was under the impression they were conspiring against me? They literally do in the fucking server. I showed just a little bit of it, a brief example from March of 2020.
It is what it is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Say my mic's being dumb. But I also have a question that I forgot to ask about before.
Sure, go ahead.
Did you see Akumu's response video to your end portion of the Conundrum video?
Nope, I've been busy trying to get stuff done at work. What's it saying?
Well, it says a lot of bullshit, but one part in particular mentions that in response to you saying that he refused to give you the logs, he said that he was actually trying to send you an invite to the server, I believe, and was like messaging you to see if you still wanted it, and you quote-unquote ghosted him.
That was well after I had asked him months previous and already got a hold of the logs myself.
Okay.
What a moron.
Now, I already previously explained this, but am I to apologize because I actually have a fucking life and I don't sit on Discord all day arguing with autistic people for 6-7 fucking hours? The point is, you did ghost me. I offered to invite you and you ghosted me. And you're calling me the moron when you continuously keep admitting that you've had the FCK logs for months? Yet you want to keep accusing me of withholding them to control the narrative. But by your own fucking admission, you've had them for months and done nothing with them. Okay, Captain Accountability, I care so much, then explain to me this. Again, I have to repeat this. Why did Peaches wait until a day before my video to discuss it? Since you've had these logs for months and you keep fucking admitting to it. Like a dumbass. You lie and then you admit to shit that makes it worse for you. Has the Mountain Dew rotted your brain that fucking much that you can't think about anything that you say?
Also, I did watch that video. The screenshots he shows don't actually prove a single thing he said. He just hoped you didn't notice that.
Now, the video that you're watching, possibly for the second time if you've seen it the first time, Ephraim did make a response to the latter portion where I discussed this call in particular. And yet he didn't answer my fucking question. The same question that I asked him in the group chat, the same question that I ask in this video. If I made a claim and my evidence doesn't support it, and clearly he's implying that he has a specific example here. Why can't he provide a specific example? He didn't do so in our group chat, and he didn't do so in his video. Like I said, these people want to say that I'm wrong, but they can't explain how I'm wrong.
All right, any other questions?
I have a question.
Sunny!
Lio, what's your favorite color?
Not the time, Sunny, but thank you.
Okay. It felt like an interrogation.
Well, I need to be able to answer people. If I'm going to be in any way, shape, or form a figurehead of anything or an authority on anything, I have to be accountable.
A prerequisite of that many people, especially in art commentary, ignore if you're going to try and be one of these figureheads. You have to answer questions honestly, and while I can't comment on anything to do with Lio's found family, the shit that he's spoken about to do with the FCK server, or me, has not been honest.
All right, do we have any other questions?
I have
Oh,
one.
jeez, I forgot. I have my TV on.
All right, and what's the question?
Don't you think it's kind of concerning that a lot of people in social media don't question claims that are very serious?
Well, of course, that's why you have people like Ponder, Peaches, and I constantly telling people they need to do their own thinking and come to their own conclusions.
One, Ponder is a terrible fucking example because she has an audience that will believe anything that she says. They do not question a fucking thing that she says. That's the dichotomy or the irony of the failure of her purpose. Secondly, you all tried to invite Mad Libs into the server to dog on her and berate her for misinformation because she spoke about something that literally fucking happened. But you didn't like that it was acknowledged. You didn't like that the bullshit excuses weren't mentioned when it was talked about. So you called it misinformation. That's not encouraging people to think freely. That's labeling a truth as misinformation because it's inconvenient for your narrative. Again, if you want to see my full original response to all of this in the call, that video will be linked down below, and the entire fucking call will be linked down below as well. Now, after this call, there's another important event in this timeline that I should note. February 29th. At 9:32 a.m., Lio Convoy tagged everyone in the Senate, announcing to everyone who was behind the Fruitcake Leaks Twitter account in an effort to distract away from their claims and evidence. They then get into another Senate call where they start yapping, whining, and moping about who was behind the account. And this isn't the only thing that they do, but I'm going to talk about that in another video more focused on Senate. Now, because of the nature of Lio Convoy, this has continued on, and that's actually one of the reasons why I'm making this sort of compendium as much as I can of this. Though this is a little difficult because Lio has made it abundantly clear that he intends to die on this fucking hill. On March 13th, Lio Convoy uploaded a video called ACrystalFlame's Accusations, and in it, he explains his reasoning, or his purpose as he puts it, for looking into the FCK logs.
I know that you're all waiting on a video of me addressing the allegations levied at me. I promise you that is being worked on. Yes, I will be addressing everything, including interviews, testimony, and whatever else is levied against me. Addressing these situations takes time, and I have a lot of evidence to collect and many allegations to sift through and addressed. But today we're going to be looking at the allegations specifically made towards Hopeless Peaches and focusing on a thread made by ACrystalFlame and what happened after that thread was made. The reason for that is simple. I am being accused of siding with a supposed predator.
No, you're not. You're making it look like you're being accused of siding with a supposed predator. That way you can misrepresent the situation and say, see, these are the ones that are lying. These are the people making the false accusations, when no one is making that accusation to begin with. It's a straw man, so you can misrepresent it to the people in Senate and your audience. That way it looks like you're actually addressing the issue at hand, when you're not. On top of trying to make it look like Peaches is a victim of false accusations in this situation.
Not holding Peaches to the same standard I would other people, so I am taking it upon myself to sift through these allegations and debunk them. We are going to be addressing the calls I had with Crystal, the claims made in a thread Crystal released, the hypocrisy of Crystal and their partner, Water Dorito 13, and their conduct throughout the entire situation. Let me establish a timeline. On Saturday, February 25th, ACrystalFlame asked Akumu for the logs of the FCK.
This is completely fictitious. ACrystalFlame didn't reach out to me to get the logs. They reached out to Fruitcake Leaks to get the logs. And you might be wondering, well, why would Lio lie about this? I have two reasons as to why Lio would lie about this. The first is Lio loves to do guilty by association. He says, I don't like to associate with people who associate with people that are problematic, or that I don't like to associate with people that are problematic. Regardless of how silly that is, it's likely he's trying to make ACrystalFlame look even worse in the eyes of his audience by making it look like ACrystalFlame associates with me, or went to me, because he's already got it so that anything I say to his audience is a complete lie, which is ironic because he's been lying the whole time. The second reason as to his angle for lying about this would be to make it look like another person reached out to me and that I didn't give them the logs. His words were, ACrystalFlame reached out to Akumu and he didn't give her the logs yet. So you tell me which one you think it probably is. But regardless, it's a complete fucking lie.
Since he did not provide them at the time, I offered my copy to Crystal. While I had the logs for a few months, I couldn't pour through all of them at once. Asuka, someone on my staff, was the one with the logs. They're massive, and we only now had a full team to dig through them. Originally, when I got the logs, the purpose was to look through them because I heard through a third-party source that Akumu was going to use them against Peaches to make accusations, along with the fact that he mentioned several people were scheming to harass him at the time in 2020.
You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Lio just admitted that he began looking into the FCK logs because Zeranthropy, the person I spoke with on February 6th, informed him that I'd be discussing Hopeless Peach's involvement in the FCK server. So he's had these logs for months, which he just admitted to. He also told Laka this on February 25th, and told people in Senate this on the February 28th call he had with them. But he didn't take interest and involvement in looking into it until he heard his precious Peaches would be talked about. In the words of Lio. That's fascinating. Now, Lio goes on to play small clipped parts from 3 different calls he had with Hopeless Peaches and ACrystalFlame, and I'd like to show you some of that. I want to note that the first call they had was on February 25th, just as Lio said, the same day Peaches released her Twitter thread about the FCK server.
Helping with the drama dispute, despite the fact that these people should not have targeted a kid in general, or the prevention of false accusations being brought about, really isn't on the level of predation, which is why the logs weren't immediately come through in their entirety. Whilst we did find Peach's messages, I didn't consider them to be a massive issue worth addressing immediately. While that was my opinion at the time, it obviously needs to be looked into more, which is what's being done now that Crystal brought them to my attention again. Crystal poured through them and found some things that concerned them, so we got in call and started talking about it. This is the first time Peach has heard about this.
Why
wasn't, like, hiding it or anything. Because when Akumu started asking me about, like, MCK stuff, I didn't even remember what that even meant. For ages. And then, like, when I did finally remember, I only remembered a couple people who were in there.
Funnily enough, Crystal made it clear that what we found of Peaches conducting herself inappropriately around minors was nothing too bad, just something that would give Omnia and Akumu more ammo. And it wasn't something they were too concerned about, and Crystal had the full logs. And Crystal did voice that to Peaches as well as soon as they joined the call.
No, I'm stressed out because I don't remember.
Just hearing your voice, I generally believe that you don't remember these screenshots. You don't remember these chats taking place because, you know, it's such a little bit of your life. And I can give you that benefit of the doubt. We all know they won't. It just sucks.
Crystal said they understood Aaron didn't remember these things, and told him that there was no need to take immediate accountability.
Let's work out next 6 hours, okay? Next 6 upcoming hours. Or it could be longer if you want, but I think 6 hours is a good time frame. First, half an hour to an hour, you know, we're gonna finish this chat up, you know, all that happy stuff. And then within that time, you're gonna be with your friends, you can compose yourself, okay? You're gonna, you know, come back, you know, to where you are, calm your mind down, and everything like that. Then you can go over what has been said, what has been shared, what has been talked about, my points and the points that Lio might have. And then you will talk to you and your friends and work out, okay, how am I making a post about this? And you can make hundreds of drafts if you need to within that time, you know, how the phrase is best. And if you need me to comment on it, I'm more than happy to help you write that public post as well, okay?
When we went through the logs, we found Peaches making inappropriate comments in the server, a space that had minors in it due to the lack of age gating and rules to distinguish minors from adults. Yet, Peaches never posted anything pornographic, nor had a sexual conversation with anyone they knew was a minor. Yes, there were minors around, but Peaches never purposely directed sexual content at them. However, Peaches recognized their past behavior as inappropriate and was reasonably distraught hearing about this. This upset was present throughout the entire call. I don't need to drag this out to make it believable. The choppy clips are due to the mental distress Peaches was in. We explained everything to Crystal, including that Peaches was still under the control of their groomer when they were active in the server, which left them having learned their kind of behavior as normal and desirable, even if their groomer wasn't present in the server. This wasn't used as an excuse, merely to give context to what kind of situation Peaches was in back then and how it influenced their actions.
If Slummers was there, then I think I knew their age as 16 or 17.
Yeah, but you were also dealing with the after effects of being groomed because you were still in contact with the guy who groomed you. This is what, right before Cosmodor stuff happened? This is before Cosmodor, so you didn't even come to realization of what happened to you until after he got exposed, because that's when you started questioning things.
Peaches admitted to Lio and ACrystalFlame that she knew Slummers was a minor. Though she says 16 or 17, as I've already shown in this video, Peaches knew Slummers was 15 in September of 2019. What I find really interesting is that the second Lio hears this, he immediately goes into making excuses for her.
Crystal originally told Peaches to take a break and comforted them, so we left the call with the understanding I would handle the situation as Crystal had agreed to within the call.
And that's the sad reality of the fact.
I'll get it handled.
Okay. Oh, you to it. Because...
Well, I'll get it handled and I can easily get this video up for him. Even if I stay up all night, I can get it done.
Lio is gonna get it handled. He's doing such a bang-up job at handling it that Peaches nuked all of her socials. Now, the video that Lio is talking about staying up to get done is his Conundrum video that he uploaded February 26th, the day after this call. Peaches just admitted in this same call that she knew Slummers was a minor. Yet Lio said that he doubted Peaches knew there were minors in the server in his Conundrum video uploaded the next fucking day.
Even at the time this all happened, they were still being manipulated by said groomer. So even if Peaches was 100% aware that there were kids in the server, which personally I doubt.
And Lio just said that video wasn't finished by this call, and this is still the first call he had with ACrystalFlame out of the 3. So he did flat out lie to everyone in the Conundrum video. He said he doubted Peaches knew there were minors when he previously heard her admit to him the night before that she knew of at least one.
This comes up during the thread and second call later. Now, before we continue, I want to note that a lot of people seem to think I'm not being consistent, that I'm not holding Peaches accountable for this incident 4 years ago like I have others. To that I say, How? So far, no one actually managed to give me a basis of comparison, which is kind of required if you want to call me a hypocrite, since I need to be inconsistent in another situation in order to be a hypocrite.
And I bring you a specific fucking example, because apparently the ones that we've given Lio aren't enough, but a perfect example of the sheer hypocrisy from Lio. December 10th of 2023, the Senate, through Lumi, dragged someone named Ammo into a call to confront them. What did they confront them for? Well, Ammo, in 2020 and in 2021, was in 2 Discord servers, their own Discord server, and a different Discord server. In these servers, this individual named Ammo was having sexual conversations while they knew there were minors in the server. Just like the FCK, it was a pretty normalized thing in the HMT server. But Peaches and Lio didn't bring that up to try and defend Ammo. And I'm not saying Ammo needs a defense or that Ammo's a victim here, because she isn't. In no way, shape, or form is Ammo a victim. The point that I'm making here is that the Senate had no problem getting involved with Untitled Sunny and Ammo's situation to grandstand Ammo. December 10th of 2023. In fact, Peaches was the one who recorded this call, and I'll have it linked down below. December 10th of 2023. That means they had the FCK logs, and yet they went and grandstanded someone else for doing the same exact thing that many people in the FCK did. In fact, when I was speaking with Untitled Sunny, they even told me that if Ammo were to judge the FCK, it would be hypocrisy, meaning that the actions that they've done are akin to one another. Yet Lio and Peaches and other people went into a Senate call for this. Yet there was no Senate call judging Peaches.
Aside from that, neither Peaches nor I have ever demanded account deletion or expulsion from random server people that don't filter themselves. People like Artie, Veer, or Vita were actually targeting children, grooming them, and targeting them with sexual content, and that's why they were called out the way they are. People like Artie, who is on record dating multiple minors, complaining about how slow they have to go, or Veer, who admits to sending his nudes to the mod squad and the GT crew, people he knew were minors. Unless kids were specifically targeted, when I run into servers like the FCK, I'd rather snatch up the mods and get them to properly age gate or get better admins. While personal responsibility is important, the people in charge have to be held to a higher standard. We had someone pull the metadata from the server to determine the roles, and none were made specifically for kids. We'll go more in depth when I cover the FCK as a whole. Suffice it to say, it's not inherently what it appears to be from the standpoint currently given. There are people that need to be held accountable, absolutely, and yes, that does include Peaches. Slimmers was in the chat. Slimmers was a minor. Peaches knew that. However, Peaches never spoke sexually to them, and the art rooms made specifically for them were made after Peaches left the server. And Peaches did say something inappropriate to a kid, telling Mimi Diggs to make the boobs on their art bigger, but by Mimi's recollection, Peaches and her rarely interacted, and Peaches didn't know her age. Unlike, say, Toasty, who knew all the ages of the minors and invited them in, as the FCK was invite only and yet still spammed the chat with porn. And when I get to the FCK logs themselves, I am absolutely going to be talking about her too. And Peaches has been held accountable, which is why they took public accountability for their action, apologized, and made a continuous effort to be a better person, leaving their platform by their choice. I wouldn't expect any more for what they've done, and if you do, I think you need to reassess. Besides, what more can they do? An action of this caliber 4 years ago doesn't need to end in deplatforming, especially if that behavior was accounted for and corrected in the following years. Now we come to the thread Crystal released. Despite telling me on our first call they'd let me handle it, and we'll talk about the call I had with Crystal after the thread was released on the 26th, Crystal asked for a conversation. At the time, I let them know Peaches was on the break that Crystal suggested, and I was in a work meeting. Before waiting for any further reply or call, Crystal decided to release their thread. This thread had a lot of very loaded claims in it, and I will go through it step by step to disprove them.
Recent revelation of Hopeless Peaches, a thread. I want to address the recent revelation regarding Hopeless Peaches. They have been banned from my community as well as any communities associated with me.
The fact that you made this public thread to address this when you said yourself you wanted to handle this privately is hypocritical. You said in our first call you didn't want to make a thread because this isn't a big deal.
No, I'm saying this is what could happen. Not because I'm going to do it, because I'm not going to. I'm handling it the way I want to handle it. You know, no one's telling me to handle X, Y, and Z. This is how I want to. If it was bigger, or if it was anywhere close to what they're trying to frame it as, we wouldn't be talking. There would be a public thread already. But they're going to handle it that way. They're going to literally take this tiny bit of proof, this tiny bit of evidence, which is unseasoned at fucking best, and they're going to make it to be the biggest thing in the world. That's why I would prompt, as you know, to make the post, not because like it needs to be said, but it's just beating them to the punch.
As Lio said, this clip is also from their first call, and we hear ACrystalFlame advising Hopeless Peaches to make a Twitter thread to beat them to the punch, referring to me. That means this call was held before Peaches made her Twitter thread. Those statements about us framing it, and this being a tiny bit of evidence, didn't age well either. But this shows us that they were going into this with the intention of pushing this idea that I'm framing or misrepresenting all of this before my video was even out. Yet Lio and those defending him want to talk about intentions to distract from the evidence and claims. How fucking rich. Since this call was held before Peaches made her Twitter thread, why doesn't her thread mention that she knew Slammers was a minor? She said it in this same fucking call. I also made this point before and asked this question before, but why did Peaches wait until a day before my premiere to take accountability for the FCK when Lio Convoy had the FCK logs for months? She could have done it right after Lio got the logs. But now we have that fucking answer. Because Lio found out February 6th that I was going to be talking about Peaches. Remember that my FCK video premiere was set up February 22nd. Then in the call that they had on the 25th, this one, ACrystalFlame suggested to Peaches to make this thread to beat us to the punch. And Lio even said he was going to get his Conundrum video done as soon as possible, even if he had to stay up. The same video where he claims, I'm the false accusation supreme, that I'm gonna misrepresent the logs to frame Peaches, and that I'm slandering Doodles. Him releasing this call confirmed he lied in his Conundrum video because he knew Peaches knew there was a minor in the server. But it also confirms that all this shit was damage control right from the fucking beginning, something he and the Senate have been denying, only for him to completely contradict with a single upload. Good job, Lio Convoy. What a bang-up fucking job you're doing handling this. He admitted that he was rushing to do that as soon as possible by putting out his Conundrum video, even willing to stay up all night to get his video done to get it out before mine. Listen very closely to his words.
I can easily get this video up for him. Even if I stay up all night, I can get it done.
His video also premiered 2 or 3 hours before mine, and he wants to talk about fucking coincidences. And yet he had the testicular fortitude, or lack thereof, to accuse me of trying to control the narrative in said fucking video.
There's a reason he's not going to release the FCK logs until after the video drops. It gives him control of the narrative.
Now that's everything between me and Lio in regards to this whole situation that he's lied about. If you want to know what else he's fucking lied about, watch my LARPer Lio in the Senate Shenanigans video. You'll get a good kick out of it. ACrystalFlame also recently, as of working on this video, put out their own video talking about all of this, so go watch that. I'll go ahead and link it down below as well. This is pretty much the definitive so far of everything that you need to know. The updated one-stop shop. And I guarantee you this won't last very long, because Lio just can't fucking help himself. He opens those fat fucking lips of his, he either lies, tries to distract away from the situation with various tactics of his, whether it be the guilty by association or, oh hey, look at what this person did. Talking about intentions as if that's at all fucking relevant, which is also really ironic that he, of all people, wants to talk about intentions considering everything that I just went over. And if it's not either of that, it's him admitting or sharing a piece of information that completely fucks his narrative that he's built up so far. Why on earth he thought it was a good idea to post the fucking February 25th call with ACrystalFlame, I don't know. Either Lio himself is really fucking stupid, or he has such low expectations when it comes to the intelligence of his own fucking audience, that he thought, oh hey, none of them will fucking notice. And to be fair, there are some that didn't notice. I'm not gonna pretend like there aren't some fucking window lickers in the ArtCC audience. That's the majority of that audience. We're not gonna sugarcoat that. But with all of that said, I will not be producing another one of these videos. If he continues to lie about the situation, I will produce additional episodes on top of this video, and then I'll put together a playlist for you all, so that instead of having a one-stop shop video for everything, you'll have an entire playlist that you can go through. Because something tells me that he's going to keep digging this grave even fucking deeper, to the point that no one will ever trust him again. And that's not what I want. I've tried through talking to other people, his admins, to give him advice, to pass a message, to shut the fuck up and just quit lying about the situation. But he's not going to, because remember guys, he's got it handled, because he's doing such an amazing job at handling this so far. I mean, this is phenomenal. Now I know you guys are probably wondering, why don't you get into the documents that were recently released? And that's pretty simple, because I don't find them really that interesting at all. And many of you suspect that this was a coordinated, timed effort, to which I can 100% agree with you, and I can 100% tell you that it was, for multiple reasons. One, Lumi had a countdown in her bio about this whole thing on her Discord account all the way up until this event. So That should give you an idea as to where this was going. Secondly, someone from Senate, pretty deep within Senate, had a conversation with me and informed me that Lio was an abuser and that something would be coming out in a few days about this from people that were in Senate. This was 2 or 3 days before it all happened. I'm not going to name who because I promised I wouldn't do so, but I can 100% guarantee you that it was a coordinated effort. And the third reason is that Peaches made the document March 14th. There may be some truth to her document, but that doesn't change a whole lot. And I say that for various reasons. For starters, her pity party about the Rosa call, it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, come on, really? You were very clearly enjoying yourself in the Rosa call. You just don't like the fact that people don't like your behavior in the call. So now you're wanting this, oh, I don't like the Rosa call. I'm sorry about the Rosa call. No, you liked the Rosa call. You were enjoying the Rosa call. And I'm not even judging her for her behavior in the Rosa call. Other people can if that's their prerogative. But quit with this sad fucking attempt to get everyone sad for you because you don't like the Rosa call now. You enjoyed the Rosa call. Let's not pretend like you didn't. You were very clearly having fun in that call. In regards to the abuse claims levied at Lio, Peaches had no problem mocking, making fun of, and just in general laughing when it came to her siblings and their experiences with Lio, when they were coming out with their experiences with Lio. She had no problem making an art piece mocking Jordan. Another question that I have is why are they immediately willing to believe Peaches but not listen to any of the other kids' stories? And that's pretty simple, because those kids ran to people they don't like, wanting help to get their story and experience with Lio out there. That's why they're not willing to listen to them. They're willing to listen to Peaches because it's fucking Peaches and that audience came from Peaches. You have to remember that. Now, I'm not remotely surprised. In fact, me, Kumo, and a couple of others have had talks about who was going to throw who under the bus first. Even if there is some truth to the document, nothing changes the fact that this is 100% because Lio couldn't make Peaches look better with this FCK shit. He couldn't recover the look for her. His lies on the situation weren't working. So what's the easiest solution? Throw Lio under the bus. Because when it comes to art commentators, especially Peaches, but in general art commentators, they have to be the victim in every situation. It doesn't matter if they started it, it doesn't matter if they participated in it, it doesn't matter if they were right there as it was taking place. If people don't like something, or if what they started starts to backfire, they play victim every fucking time. I've shown this time and time again throughout my FCK series. Another thing that I'd like to add is that Lio is doing this silly fucking pity party of woe is me, no one's willing to listen to me and hear me out, which is a complete fucking lie. Many people throughout this whole thing, 2-3 weeks ago, were commenting about how they're going to wait to hear you out. And people have heard you out. You've produced 2 videos on this situation so far. Your Conundrum video and your ACrystalFlame video. In both videos, you lie to everybody. The ACrystalFlame video contradicts claims that you made at the end of your Conundrum video. People have heard you out. You've lied to them numerous times, whether that be in your 2 videos or in Senate calls. Ignoring the Senate calls and everything else and just focusing on those 2 videos. When you address this situation at the end of the Conundrum video or in the ACrystalFlame video, you do one of multiple things. You make very shitty excuses that no one except your stupid fucking audience is gonna buy. These excuses are inconsistent, which is another reason why no one outside your gullible audience is gonna take it. You lie to everybody, or you contradict yourself. And now you're resorting to this fucking pathetic, oh, no one's listening to me. No, people have heard you out. I know this is an asinine idea, it might seem a little ridiculous to you, but when you are caught lying to people, they're less and less likely to want to hear you out. I know it's a ridiculous idea. It's completely absurd, but when people know that you're lying to them and that you've previously lied to them and your track record so far has been lying to them, they're less likely to hear you out. On top of the fact that Lio himself is not willing to give that courtesy of hearing people out to anyone else. It adds to just how fucking pathetic it is. It's even more pathetic than Peach's backstabbing Lio, and I say that because that's Peach's nature. That's who she is. That's just art commentary for you. She was bound to throw Lio under the bus. But this, oh, no one's willing to hear me out, is fucking ridiculous because people have heard Lio out. Not once, but twice. And the people that are upset that this whole FCK thing seems overshadowed by Lio and Peaches and the focus on Lio and Peaches. That came purely as a result of Lio choosing to get himself involved, lie for Peaches, only for Peaches to backstab him. Had that not happened, I would just be talking about the FCK still, and continuing my series, but here we are, and I don't doubt for a second that Lio is going to dig this even further with probably more guilty by association and really ridiculous asinine excuses on top of his fucking heap of lies that he's told already.